Hey, what's going on, my friends? So today we're actually going to do a little tarot lesson. We're actually going to talk about this amazing card, number 17, which is the star card in the tarot. Now, I will be reading from the Raziel Tarot, the Major Arcana and Secret Teachings of Adam and Eve. This is the book. Very beautiful. And this was made by Rachel Pollock. And so Trump 17 shows us one of the most elegant and joyous of the Raziel Tarot majors. Just so you know, within the tarot, there are 22 major arcana cards that are connected to also the 22 Hebrew letters that created this world with cosmic energy forces, okay? So, though the scene is at night in this card, when we see the stars, it comes as a gentle brightening after the darkness of the Devil card and the destructive fire of the Tower. It is perhaps a short-lived relief in the perilous journey of the final 7 cards, for the fearsome moon will follow before the sun puts us firmly on the path to liberation and judgment and the world. This card forms a companion to 12, the Hanged Man. There we saw the story of Shemhazai, the arrogant angel who tried to seduce Istahar, and how she tricked him into revealing the secret name so that she could escape into the sky, where God turned her into a star. Here we see Istahar herself, naked in her purity. Her nudity is partly a tarot tradition, since most versions show the star maiden without clothes. It also might recall Adam and Eve, who clothed themselves from the shame after they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In a sense, the star card tells us we can redeem Adam and Eve and ourselves. We can return to innocence. The number 17 combines 1, the magician, be wrapped in light as Solomon, the Sefer Raziel tells us, with the 7 card, the chariot, or the Merkavah, the goal of the mystical ascent through the 7 Hekalot, which are the palaces of heaven. The star in her purity becomes clothed in light to ascend on high, as a Jewish saying goes, staying with the number 1 plus 7 equals 8, the number of strength, where we see a strong wise woman, the Queen of Sheba. Star and strength are a wonderful combination, but the cards between them are not always easy. It is possible to construct a tree of life between any group of paired cards, such as 17, card number 8, or card 12, or card 3, or card 11, card 2. That is using the pattern shown on the extra trump card, which is card number 23. The tree of life lay card 8 in the top position, Keter, crown, in card 17 at the bottom, Malkut. Then put the intervening cards in order between them as in the chart on the following page. This fascinating idea comes from the tarot teacher Wald Amberstone and was developed by David Sakar. When we do this for strength or the star card, we discover the center of the tree is death, while the card just above the star in a position called foundation, Yesod, in Hebrew, is the fearsome tower. The path from strength to the star is not an easy one. Okay? So, if you got a little confused, it was talking about using this particular pattern. Helps you to see things from the tree of life perspective. It's a very interesting Kabbalistic interpretation of revealing certain things that are hidden from you. So now we're going to read this page. And it says, the name Ishtar calls to mind the Babylonian Ishtar, the queen of heaven, but also Esther, the heroine of the biblical book of Esther. The story of Esther emphasizes her heroism and purity as she and her uncle Mordecai defeat the genocidal schemes of Haman, the vizier to the Persian king. As a nice coincidence, I'm writing this on the actual day of Purim, the joyous holiday that celebrates Esther and Mordecai victory over Haman. So it's funny, when she was doing the book, Rachel Pollack, who created this amazing deck, who restored the tarot to a more Jewish deck, because it's interesting, the Rider-Waite traditional deck that most people follow, although very Kabbalistic, it has more of Judeo Christian and overlap within the imagery. So you will see in the High Priestess card, we'll know that she has the Torah in her sleeve. It says Torah, and the H is hidden right within the sleeve, but she's also wearing a cross. And so we see the moon Levana above her because the divine feminine is connected to the moon. And so you have to remember when that deck, it has powerful Judeo-Christian imagery. And so it was developed by pretty much Jewish Christian mystics, the tarot. It goes back to ancient times, to ancient cultures. And it's very interesting. In Spain, there was this idea that if you get a tarot card reading, it is a baraka, right, in Old Spanish, and that goes back to Hebrew as a bracha, right? And so there were, like secret Jews, and they were putting mystical stuff on cards and using as a way to tap into higher dimensions. There's so many untold, history of the tarot in Europe, and also going back to the ancient world. It's very, very interesting. But we'll get into that another time with a beautiful book called The Kabbalistic Tarot. So anyway, let's get back to our main story here. Now it says, Ishtar with the star on her crown. You see the star on her crown? So this is Ishtar. Very interesting. Ishtar with the star on her crown, Babylonian carving in the picture. We see Ishtar in both her mortal, form and as the 8-pointed star in the night sky. We also see a group of 5-pointed stars, which represent the planet Venus, identified with Ishtar, and the beautiful steam of the Milky Way, which mirrors the river at Ishtar's feet. The river is dark, like the mortal world, while the Milky Way becomes a stream of light. Do you remember the description of the promised land as overflowing with milk and honey? We might see the origin of this saying in the primordial mother goddess, whom many cultures have pictured as a cow or a queen bee, which is connected to the High Priestess card again. Now, the 8-pointed star hints a spiritual transformation through sacred geometry. The form of a square represents the earth, with its 4 directions caused by the planet spinning on its axis, and its 4 solar points in the year. The equinoxes and solstices, the circle, on the other hand, embodies heaven. For the main circles we find in nature are the sun, the full moon, and the pupil of the eye, which allows us to view the circles in the sky. If you remember your high school geometry, the area of a square is easily calculated, but a circle's area involves the irrational number pi. This is a ratio, a fraction that cannot be resolved as a decimal number. Well, the way 1.5 becomes 0.5, but literally goes on forever. This happens in any circle, no matter how small or large. It puts the square and the circle, earth and heaven, in fundamentally different categories. An 8-pointed star, however, can symbolize a kind of halfway state, a process of transformation. The human woman Istihar becomes a star. In the picture, a circle encloses the star. The third triad runs the Empress card, number 3, the Wheel of Fortune card, number 10, and the Star card, 17. Stars appear in each card, 3 in the Empress, and it's funny, that is, the Empress number is number 3. 5 in the Wheel, half of 10, and in the symbolically endless river of the Milky Way in the star. As in most versions of this card, she's pouring water from 2 vessels, unlike Temperance, which mixes energy. Here the liquid pours freely. The water appears like milk, another connection to the Milky Way. And again, the land flowing with milk and honey. When the starlight water touches the ground and the river is subtly merges with the darkness of the night, so that there is no sharp break between the physical and the spiritual. Card 17 symbolizes healing, whether physical or spiritual, and the milky water from her pictures becomes the energy of restoration. In a sense, Istahar's purity and her cleverness healed Shamhazai of the madness that had overtaken him. Her hair ripples down her back like the river and the stream of stars. Though she is nude, she wears a wreath of olive leaves, the same leaf we saw in justice and will see again in the world. She embodies the life-giving purity of justice and righteousness. In many versions of the star, a bird perches on a branch behind her. Here we see a blue bird in flight, a branch behind her. Oh, I'm repeating. Here we see a bluebird in flight because between the trees and Ishtar, Robert chose this bird because its blue plumage suggests the soul soaring upwards towards heaven. The Egyptians describe the part of the soul that rises free of the body at death as a bird. Many people know the expression bluebird happiness, originally from a 1910 play of that name, but made more popular in a 1948 song. So the divinatory meaning is hope, renewal. This is what this card is showing us: healing, purity, virtue, the soul set free from burdens, happiness, and the liberating power of belief, giving of yourself freely without fear of being used up or drained, liberation through justice and faith. So my hope is that we are liberated from all that would say otherwise. May we feel the power and the cosmic forces of Purim. So what's interesting is this is a very interesting deck. Unfortunately, the Raziel Tarot by Rachel Pollack, she restored the tarot to a completely Jewish understanding, as we can see, which we can get out of the traditional Rider-Waite. But traditional Rider-Waite is a bit more, I would say, universal truth, international. And while this is restored, as we can see, the Shekhinah and the Torah is completely out and not really hidden like in the other, deck. And we see Ezekiel's vision in the chariot, the Merkavah. We see also Miriam, Moses' sister, with the letter Mem, the cleansing agent that's connected to the water for purification. Moses on the cliff, the death card. We also have the judgment card, which is so beautiful with these 2 lovers here, divine and masculine. We also have the Queen of Sheba, the Queen of Yemen and Ethiopia, who became one of Solomon's wives. And then we also have the Wheel of Fortune, the ever-revolving wheel. And we have the divine Shekhinah with the justice. And we have many, many interesting cards in this deck. But my favorite is King Solomon, the great magician. Anyway, so I heard that, when I got this deck, it was like $50. And it only did the 22 major arcana, and the minor arcana cards weren't done. So this deck is no longer available. It's worth $1,000 today. But I heard that Rachel is working on bringing a complete set of tarot cards with a major and minor. And so I look forward to it. May she have the bracha to do it speedily for all of us so that we will be able to really get deeper into the codes that Archangel Raziel has given to us all. And, in the traditional Rider-Waite decks, Smith, that was actually, the pictures in that deck was actually inspired by Archangel Raziel, is what I found out. So it's so interesting. The Kabbalistic energy behind tarot is Torat, the Torah backwards. And, a lot of people don't realize the overlap between the tarot and the Kabbalah. It's meant to not just use as fortune telling, but it was meant to pull us into the higher realms within the Tree of Life reality. Anyway, so I thought this would be a really awesome lesson to learn today on this beautiful, majestic holiday that is about to start. Bye for now.